time here.
One.
Okay, I guess we had Lynn, but that was trying to get another motion.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the March 9th segment of the Milton Warrant Committee. We have a few items on the agenda tonight. Thank in advance all the members of town departments and committees who are here to join us for their time. And Lynn, would you please take the roll?
Sure. We have Dave, Muhammad, Kristen, Stephen, Lorraine, Aaron, George, and Susanna.
Very good. Our first order of business is to bring forward the meeting minutes from February 9th. And we have the meeting minutes from February 16th to review and accept. Are there any changes to these minutes that anyone detected or any alterations that we have to consider? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented for February 2nd, February 9th and February 16th meetings.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Terrific. Any further discussion? All in favor? Lynn, please take the roll.
Dave. Muhammad.
Aye.
Kristen.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Susanna.
Yes.
All set.
Terrific. We're happy to have Paige Ippolito, who runs many things for the town and is one of the unsung heroes in Milton for all the work that she does, to present to us the article regarding the Milton Retirement Board. So Paige,
hi, yes.
You have the floor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. So have you all got a copy of the article? It's to see if the town...
Do we need to put it up on the screen just to be clear? Lynn, do we have that possibility?
Yes, I'm getting it up right now.
Perfect. I should know better. Silly me. There you go. Okay.
Okay. So it to see if the town will vote to approve the acceptance of the Milton Retirement Board of an increase of $3,000 in the maximum base amount of which the cost of living adjustment is calculated for pension payments. This would increase the base from $15,000 to $18,000 as of July 1st, 2022. We have not, the last time, the original amount was $12,000. And on July 1st of 2011, it was approved to go to $15,000. So we haven't increased that amount since 2011. And when you retire, you get the COLA increase each year. It's usually 3%. It's based on that amount. So they only get 3% based on $15,000. So to increase it to $18,000 would give each retiree $540 a year, which still is
additionally, Paige.
Additionally, yes.
Okay.
$540, yes.
Okay. And what have you calculated out what the aggregate would be for our retirees now?
We have 280 retirees,
right.
But not all of them even
qualify for this.
Qualify. But if they all did, it would be $150,000, which is, paid for through the retirement board, through the retirement funds.
And that's fully funded. It's fully vested and funded. There's no unfunded pension liability there, vested liability.
Well, we aren't fully funded. We'll be fully funded 2027.
I'm sorry. That's exactly right. Okay, I remember seeing that now, but it's the gap is closing. I know that.
Yes,
much.
The gap is closing. Absolutely.
Yeah, to have it fully funded by 2027 will be fabulous, and this won't preclude that from happening, I'm guessing.
Correct.
Okay. It's reasonably straightforward. Do we have questions from the membership? for Paige? It looks reasonable. I mean, it hasn't been raised in 10 years, my goodness.
Right.
And given what
Right.
inflation has been in the past year, every little bit helps for these folks.
Correct.
Do we have any questions or objections or concerns or comments from the membership before we can put this, I think we can put this to a vote now, which would be one less that we'll have to vote on week after next. The chair will entertain a motion to accept this as presented.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion needed on this? Hearing none, Lynn, please take the roll.
Yes. Dave,
Yes.
Muhammad,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
and Susanna.
Yes.
Paige, thank you very much, and keep up the good work. And if there's anything else that needs to come forward, please don't hesitate.
Thank you very much. I thank you as the chairperson of the retirement board and all the retirees. Thank you too.
Oh, thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Good night.
Perfect. We are delighted to have Kathleen O'Donnell, who always brings interesting things to us. Whether it's the planning board or the community preservation, we're always happy to have Kathleen present because she makes things, even though some of us don't always agree, the discussions are always very worthwhile.
Well, I always try to be amusing, as you know. So
well, you get the point across and you make very good points, and that's what's important. So take it away. You have the floor.
So I'm here in my capacity as the chair of the Community Preservation Committee, which, as you may remember, is a brand new committee.
Yes, ma'am.
Very exciting. We are, as you may know, working on what our first task is, which is preparing a community preservation plan. We have had the chair of the Conservation Commission before us, the chair of the Historic Commission before us, the Select Board Affordable Housing Committee chair, to talk about the goals and potential projects that we would be using for our CPA money. So that's our first step, is to do the plan, and there will be public hearings for that, lots of opportunity for people to comment as we go through that process. But what we do have to do is set aside money from this coming fiscal year of the funds that will be in the account. Just as a reminder, community preservation funds do not go into the general fund. They go into their own account. It's funded with two sources: real estate taxes collected in the town and the match from the state that is raised by the recording fees at the Registry of Deeds. So our treasurer, Pete Jackson, the treasurer of our committee, has been working with our finance director for the town to come up with the money. And we anticipate that there'd be over $1 million collected in fiscal 2023 with
Wow.
community preservation funds.
Boy,
Yeah.
that didn't take long. Wow.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, real estate isn't cheap here in town.
No, not at all. But
So we have that.
Kathleen, how much is the match? Have we got the match yet?
Well, no, we haven't gotten it yet because we're not in that, this fiscal year. But the anticipated match is actually pretty good. I mean, my experience of working with community preservation communities extends back to when it was first adopted over 20 years ago.
Right.
And so in the beginning, the match was 100% because there were so few participants.
Wow.
Now we're up to like 187 cities and towns who participate in CPA.
Yeah.
And there are 3 up in April, which will 190, which is a significant number. So the match went down as more towns and cities participated. A couple of years ago with the Community Preservation Coalition, of which Tom Callahan, from everybody knows, and me, were both on the board of that that coalition. We pushed in a raise in the deed fees that has increased the match. So I think we've been told, I can't remember, something like 25% perhaps as a match for Milton.
That's still pretty good, I think.
Well,
So
you won't be making that at the bank.
No, for sure. No, well, I mean, who knows what things are going to look like by the time we get through with our
That's true.
self-immolation that we're involved in now. But so we could look at $1,250,000 in very short order, which after
$1,028,000 this year is what the anticipated revenue is.
This is remarkable because we just adopted this. So to have
Yeah.
this
Oh,
growing
yeah, yeah.
point is really, really excellent. So
Yeah.
what's the outlook for what you're going to do with this cash? How long do you want to accumulate it, or is this stuff?
Well, no, I mean, I think, obviously there's lots of, people around town who have been awaiting the adoption of CPA funds, and including the town itself.
Yeah.
And that it would be using some CPA money potentially, for protection of the historic features at the central fire station, potentially for the repair and, real improvements of the building down at the landing, the Milton Yacht Club building, the old police station. That's a potential use of it. We have an affordable housing trust that hasn't been particularly well funded. And in my experience working I represent, 7 or 8 affordable housing trusts in other towns. CPA is a valuable a resource for those affordable housing trusts to assist with rental assistance. In COVID, in the beginning of the COVID, there was a rental assistance program that lots of my clients used CPA money to assist people that had been adversely impacted by COVID. So, it's a resource for that affordable housing, for open space and the Conservation Commission. We own a lot of open space, but that's an open space and rec, but we don't have the funds to sort of protect, to do anything with them for the most part. Right. So this was CPA money. So our intention is that we would be hopefully start a program to have applications be submitted. The Forbes Museum has spoken to us. I know Historic New England, there's lots of, opportunities here in town for use of these funds. So what we're doing right now is just setting aside in this initial article, our first appearance on the town meeting warrant, is to set aside the traditional buckets. You put 10% into historic reserves, 10% into community housing, 10% into open space and recreation, and then the rest goes into estimated budget reserves. And then in the fall, if we are successful to get this off the ground, we would come to town meeting, come to you and come to town meeting with our recommended articles for potential spending.
Okay. Okay. Do we, can we put the text up for this article?
Do
we have
I
that?
have it?
No, I don't think you, I don't know.
Hi, just give me 1 second, George.
Yeah. No, Lynn should have it. That's the only reason I bring, because if we're going to see this, it's not complicated. I just want to make sure everybody sees it if they haven't yet. And through the miracle of technology and our extraordinarily adroit clerk, we should have that up.
Yeah, because otherwise, I'd be holding this up and that would
that's tough. Talk about an eye chart. I see my ophthalmologist on Friday. Here you go. Okay. So to see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate from the Community Preservation Fund established pursuant to Chapter 444B of the General Laws to be used in accordance with the Act and to act on anything related thereto. What is the sum of money that do we have a sum of money projected yet, Kathleen?
Yes, because I sent a copy of the draft budget article to Lynn last week.
Okay. I did not see that. If I saw it, it slipped through the cracks here. We just have to see what is the dollar figure?
So
I'm sorry, George, can I just ask Kathleen, I'll look for that email. Can you just let me know what day that was sent? I don't remember seeing that email.
Let's see. So we had sent an article that says the appropriations from fiscal. So the motion would be the appropriations under that article would be, let me just see where I have that. I don't know whether, I can't remember. I have 4 email addresses at this point, and so I have to see which one I sent it under. There it is. I sent it on the 3rd, March 3rd.
Okay.
But here's what I'll do. I have it right here. and I can send it again.
If you can do that, and then Lynn, if you can put that up on a screen share, that would be helpful. That might save some time.
Well, yeah, I didn't log in. I didn't log in on my computer. Otherwise, I would have been able to screen share, I suppose. But
It's all right. We'll just take one little more step. I'm not worried.
sorry about that.
Not a problem. This is an easy one to fix. Are you kidding? I wish they were all this easy to fix.
Okay, I just forwarded it again. Hopefully it comes. So as I said, so we've said we are going to set aside $51,400 for administrative expenses. Those are typically used for the dues to the Community Preservation Coalition, which is really, really helpful for starting committees because they give you all the guidance you possibly need. So it would be, and also if we had a situation where we wanted to do a study of something, or we wanted to hire a surveyor, or we wanted to hire, some assistant in some way, administrative assistant. We've lost Allison Quinn as our sort of, assistant helper. So we would be looking for potentially paying some part-time person to handle the work of the committee, because once all the applications come in, there's a whole process for approving projects. So
yeah,
we could use some help for that. So $51,400 for those expenses. And then we would be setting aside, as I said, the 10% into the required buckets, 10% of $103,000 for historic resources, $103,000 for community housing, $103,000 for open space and recreation, and the rest would be budgeted reserves in the amount of $668,472.
And these are all held in separate sub-accounts so that we don't have to worry about funding being inappropriately forwarded, I'm guessing.
No, they all, as I said, the treasurer has to set up these different accounts. I don't know how she does that mechanically, but yeah. So you can't, if you had an expensive recreational reserve, you can't pull that from the other buckets.
So you can't do a shell game.
No. Well, I suppose you could try.
Well, we won't suggest that. But I guess the other question, Kathleen, who has the jurisdiction to dispense these funds from these different accounts? Is that solely up to you, or does that go also to the meeting? But it's within your purview.
Yes. If we make the recommendations to town meeting for the expenditures of these funds, town meeting can vote it up or down.
Okay.
Town meeting can't change the amounts.
Got it. Thank you. That's the next question. Okay, that's good. Lynn, how are we doing with this?
Did you get it?
We didn't lose you, did we?
No, George, I don't have it. I have 2 emails from Miss O'Donnell, and they were in communication with town council. I don't have anything from her on the 3rd that contains.
I just sent it to you again.
Yeah, Kathleen sent it to you, I think.
Right. No, it hasn't come through yet.
Hasn't come through. Oh, wow, that's strange. Because it would be nice if those are all put out. It would be really good to have those in front of us just so we can all see them.
Just to reiterate, it would be WC Clerk, Kathleen.
Well, let me just see where I sent it the last time.
Yeah.
So I didn't get this the first time it was sent around. Did anybody get it? Does anyone else have it? Because I don't have it. I just checked my email.
Yeah, I haven't. That's why I brought it up, because I didn't recall receiving it. I'm not doubting that it was sent at all.
Oh, of course. No, I wasn't intending. I was just thinking if anybody had it, one of us could put it up. But
No, some of these things just go into the ether every now and then. It's really
well. I think it went to her address at the town, not as warrant committee. So what's the one I should send it to right now, Lynn?
It's WC Clerk at townofmilton.org. I don't have another address. That would be my only address.
Okay.
So it possibly did go into the ether.
Yeah, it looks like it did.
That's all right. We're not dealing with state secrets here.
Okay. I've sent it again. I mean, the other thing is I could sign on to Zoom on the computer and,
Well, let's see if this goes through, Kathleen. It might save the step. In the meanwhile, I'm wondering if our cemetery people have joined us. Because if they haven't, then we'll have to postpone that to the next meeting. Because this would, if theoretically, this would be the last article that we would have to vote this evening. So we do have a little time. I mean, we had a very long meeting Monday, and we still have a few things to cover. But this spillover into tonight was necessary to handle some of these other things. Plus, we have next week, which is going to be.
George, I don't have it yet, but I do see Lisa Ahern from the cemetery.
all right, well then, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna sign on to the computer and see if I can share the screen and show it then. So.
Okay. All right. How long, Kathleen, give us a guesstimate on time for that, because I don't want to move on to the next item if this is going to be very quick.
I just got to sign on to Zoom.
Okay.
All
right. If Lisa Ahern, thank you very much for joining us. If you can just sit tight for a little bit, we'll get this addressed.
Let me just see if I can get it from. There we go. Open in Word.
George, I think I figured out what the problem was. I believe Kathleen sent it to the other Lynn at Town Hall, the Select Board Administrator Lynn. That's probably where the confusion lies. It's two Lynns with two spelling, the same exact spelling of Lynn.
Wasn't that funny? Okay.
Well, sorry about that.
No, look, no harm done. We manage, right?
Okay, so can I screen share? Probably not.
I think you need to, sorry to interrupt, but I think you need to be, and Mr. Chair, this is directed through you.
Yes, that's fine, Erin, go ahead.
I think you need to be made co-host or host in order to share your screen, Kathleen.
Can we do that?
Yeah, she should be able to share her screen.
Yeah, as I said, that prompt is not showing up on my.
Oh, this is annoying.
Oh, there we go. Okay, got it.
Terrific. Perseverance always works, right? Right.
All right. Screen broadcast. That's not what I wanted. I want to share the screen. Share content. Screen. I don't think that
should be on the bottom of your screen.
Oh, here we go. Something's happening.
Yeah, but I think it's not. It says it's broadcasting. We don't want to be doing that.
Oh
no.
You are sharing. Okay.
Sharing screen. Okay. All right.
Try opening the document that you wish to share first, and then do the share screen prompt.
I was trying to do that. Let me just go back on the other.
This is where you need an 11-year-old kid.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of out of those at the moment.
I guess it worked in our favor. This isn't recorded tonight, going live.
I know.
I've got about 7 11-year-olds in my house all the time. So
there you go.
I borrow one. Nothing but kids all the time.
I'm sorry, my kids always came in handy when I had issues of this nature.
All right. Well, I have.
I wouldn't be able to figure this out.
Yeah, I mean the problem is I'm doing this on my iPad, and I don't know if that's particularly working.
Limits, yeah. And Lynn, you have not received this, right?
So now that we know the correct Lynn, could we try sending it again? Maybe that would be better.
I sent it to WC
Clerk.
Clerk at.
Okay.
And it hasn't gotten through to you yet, Lynn?
You said WC.
No, it hasn't gone through.
All right, we'll try it again.
Hey, Kathleen, you want to try to send it to me?
Yeah, or one of us. We could possibly.
Hey, Kathleen, this is my, oh, just went like that. So WC, then C again, LERK at Town of Milton.
Okay, maybe I didn't have enough C's in there.
Yeah, it's WC for Warrant Committee.
Okay.
And clerk.
All right. I'm terribly sorry about this. So WC, so I'm trying to type it up here. WC clerk, yeah.
Okay, I just got it. Yay!
Oh,
here we go.
Well done. Excellent.
Oh,
okay,
geez.
this
What a
is what we need.
genius.
Yeah, this is what we needed to see. This helps a lot.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So this is excellent. The appropriation is clear. The 51.4, Kathleen, comes out of the what's collected, right? That's
Yes,
not a town.
all of that comes out of the total amount of the $1,028,872.
Okay. Okay, this is very straightforward. Has anybody any questions for the Councilor O'Donnell here? Because if there are no longer any questions and everybody is this seems very straightforward. For our purposes, we could take a vote this evening, and if so, the chair will entertain a motion to send this with our approval to our recommendation to approve to the town meeting. Do we have a motion for such?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do we have a second to recommend this article as presented?
Second.
Any other discussion about it? If none, Lynn, please take the roll, please.
Dave.
Yes.
Muhammad.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Erin.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Susanna.
Yes.
Oh, Henny.
Yes.
Oh, terrific. Excellent. Thank you. It passes. Kathleen, once again, we thank you for your clarity and for all the work that you do.
Well, I'd like to thank Pete Jackson, our treasurer, for working so hard to get the numbers right. So that's really great.
Well, it's really nice to see that this is accumulating and that there's going to be some, that there'll be some, you'll have some wherewithal to do some of this good stuff.
We really hope so. It'll be,
Absolutely.
it's really great.
Keep up the good work. Nice to see you as always.
All right. Did you want me at all to stay on for the discussion of what you're going to do at the special town meeting or not?
Well, we could not put it on the agenda per se. I think we're going to end up, if we do have a conversation, it's going to end up being Monday before the town meeting at that. So you're paroled.
Thank you.
But thank you very much. If you want to join us, I don't know if you have time Monday before town meeting, but we're going to try to have find out what our options are between now and then and have a conversation about that in anticipation of what the special town meeting might choose to do.
Yeah, we would encourage, the idea of it going forward to town meeting so that town meeting can talk about it,
Oh, the town meeting will absolutely talk about it, I'm sure. And I think it's going to be a major discussion point because, there are only 4 articles and 2 of them are relatively straightforward. So I think between the memory care unit and ADU, this is going to take up a fair bit of everybody's attention, which is fine. It should, because it's an important issue. But I think Monday, if you want to join us, if there are any last minutes, but I think we've got all the information that we need, and it's just going to be a question of digesting it and seeing precisely how we can do. And that's going to be the issue, because I think that there are going to be a number of, I can't imagine how many amendments potentially there are going to be, but there will certainly be a lot of discussion, as you know. Okay, so
thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. We're also happy to have Lisa Ahern. Lisa, you're still with us, yes? From the cemetery?
Hello.
Okay. Hi there.
Jim Coyne is here as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is
good.
Jim Coyne.
Thank
I'm
you
the
for
chairman of
joining
the
us.
cemetery.
You have the floor. Take it away.
So we've submitted an article that our property at 211 Center, which is the superintendent's house, that I am currently not living in, and we are preparing as a rental property. that we start a revolving account for it to, so that we can update it as needed, as we care for it. So,
do we have hard copy on this?
you should.
Yes, George, hold on.
Yeah, just put it up. There we go. I remember seeing it. I just want to make sure we can screen share it. Here we go. And so this is simply the construction of the allocation limited to $40,000 for a revolving fund that is a discrete fund that can be used for nothing other than its stated purpose.
Right.
Now, so Lisa, you don't live there. What is the possibility that a future cemetery superintendent would like to live there?
Very, very likely. It's a very good job perk. So, Therese lived there for close to 30 years. She had kids that went to the Milton Public School system. So it's a very good job perk. And it's nice to have an employee who lives on the property. I wanted one of my employees to live there, but because of union rules, I couldn't rent it to one of my crew members. So
what is the anticipated rental income from this property? Has
so
there
right
been
now,
projection for that?
Right now, as the house, the shape the house is in right now is probably about $4,500 a month. As I'm able to improve it, it will increase. What we'd like to do is go for what they call executive rentals, which is maybe 8 months, a year at a time. People who are renovating houses in Milton need to move out of their house, have a short-term rental, and pay top dollar for that. And then they move out. Then I would be able to access our revolving account. I'd be able to go in and do a kitchen renovation that hasn't been done since 1970. I can improve the state of the house, get the next tenant in, make a little more money. When they come out, I can spend more money on, they only have one bathroom in the house that's from the 60s upstairs. So things like that, it needs considerable updating. And with each update, the rent can be increased.
Sure. So right now you're talking $40,000. The rental proceeds would go into this revolving account?
And any overage goes to town coffers, goes to the general fund.
Anything over the $4,500 a month?
Anything over, yes.
Okay. Okay, do we have other questions about this?
Yeah, I have a question. What happens if you're not allowed to rent it for $4,500 a month and get that $40K? How do you plan on making those updates that the house needs?
We have had so much interest in this house. I can't imagine that we wouldn't rent it.
This house is right on the library property it's that white house that's in the corner near the entrance, near Center Street.
Okay.
Center Street and Randolph Ave.
That's a great
It
location.
is. George, I'll just jump in. So just some history. Back in 2005, the cemetery before my time, they had a revolving fund account for another piece of property, which was 379 Center Street. At the time, town meeting approved $25,000 for a revolving account. That again went to maintenance, and the proceeds of that in and above $25,000 per year went to the general fund to the town of Milton. So in this case, we're asking for $40,000 based on the current market values of the property and its location. So if the rent isn't $4,500 and it's $4,000 a month, then you're looking at $48,000 possible, with an $8,000 benefit to the town for the revolving fund.
Okay. Let's see. First hand up I saw actually was Steve's.
I just have a question, and you sort of answered it, but does the town own other property like this, or is this a one-off type thing?
So 211 Center Street is owned by the cemetery trustees. I believe the deed on the property is the cemetery's property.
Yeah.
So that's why we have it maintain the property, and then that's why we're asking the town for the revolving fund. I can't answer other town properties that they have for rental properties.
That's something we could probably find out, Steve, though.
Okay.
We can ask that one. Okay. Susanna, you had your hand next.
I think Erin was next, but if she doesn't mind me cutting, I'll be quick. I don't want to go too far into left field on this, but what's the plan in terms of who decides and what are the criteria for approving potential tenants? I asked this mainly because it seems to be a sticky topic around town lately, and I wouldn't want the cemetery or anyone else to be put in a position where they were, accused of using inappropriate criteria to select a rental tenant. Is there any thought to what that process would look like?
Well,
I know that we're going to attempt, well, we probably will utilize a broker.
yeah.
So we have all fair, equitable treatment for all prospective clients.
Okay.
It won't be the cemetery trustees. We'll do a background check.
And we'll have town council do the lease.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm
Okay.
sorry if that's a dumb question. I'm just trying to head off potential conflicts and accusations. So thank you.
No, it's not a dumb question. I think we have to be aware of these things and sensitive to them to make sure that we are observing, whatever we have to make sure that this is properly administered. All right, Erin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, I have like 3 questions. So
Go ahead.
if that's
Go ahead.
okay. So
No,
going
please.
off of what Susanna just said, I'm wondering if there will be a sign out front of this property saying that it's for rent, or how you plan to advertise that it's for rent so that it's not just these folks in the know that happen to be watching.
Yeah.
Well,
Good
again, if you want to ask each question, we can answer, or I can answer each question as you pose it.
No, take that one and go ahead with it.
I believe utilizing a broker within the town, they'll be the ones that can access all the people that are available and put it out to lease. Again, we need town council to write the lease for us before we do anything. So we're not going to put it out there that it's available until the lease is written by town council.
Obviously, yeah. I just want to make sure that everybody gets wind of it, not just the select few that we all know and love that volunteer for our town. I just want to make sure that it's being done in a way that all corners of our town have an opportunity to rent this beautiful piece of property.
Right. I think what my most important criteria is right now is that it's an executive rental. It's a short-term rental.
Right. Right, which leads me to my next question. I'm happy you went into that. So my next question is you're thinking to get $4,500 a month for this, with one bathroom that was from the 60s and one kitchen that's from the 70s. And I'm wondering what kind of executive would like to rent that for 6 months? Because most of the executives I know wouldn't even rent my house, and it's like from the 80s.
So aside from the small bathroom and the small galley kitchen, it's quite a nice house in quite a nice location.
Okay.
And the broker, who is the #1 broker in Milton, assures me that there is a market out there that would love to live there.
Okay, great. I'm going to trust the folks that know a lot more than me on real estate.
It's actually an interesting thing. If people are living in town and they are renovating a house and they want to keep their kids in town, it's not a stretch, and they'll just
it makes sense.
It's like camping, right?
It makes total sense. Absolutely. My last question has to do with the overage that goes into the general fund. I hate general funds more than anything on the planet. I hated them when I worked for state government. I think that they are the slush fund of every state in this wonderful country we live in. So I'm wondering if there's a way if you are planning that you're going to track how much overage goes into the state general, or into the town general fund, so that at least when you guys come back and ask for more money to do things for the cemetery, we can offset that by saying, yes, but they also put in X amount of dollars into the general fund because of this overage. I'm just wondering if you're going to track that. I'm hoping you will.
Well, I'm sure it will be very easy to track. Sure.
Okay. Just want to make sure that happens, because I don't want to lose sight of your money going into the general fund. to be used to fill potholes at some time. You know, that's my biggest thing. So,
Right.
okay, thank you. That's it. I'm all set. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Do we have other questions? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to recommend this to town meeting as written. Have a motion for that?
Sorry, I walked away. Yeah, so moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none. Lynn, please take the roll.
Dave,
Yes.
Muhammad,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
JJ,
Abstain. I was late. Sorry.
It's okay.
Stephen,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Susanna,
Yes.
oh, Henny.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. That carries. Lisa, we thank you very much. Keep up the good work. And we have yet, okay, so we covered basically what we needed in this agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. We can talk a little bit about the next two items, I guess under new business, and the procedures for the special town meeting. We will have, or if we do not already have, the Zoom information available for the Monday and the Wednesday town meeting that we are going to have ourselves. You should have already received notification from the registrar's office or Milton Access or whoever's running it, the link to go into the town meeting. So you'll need, again, two devices, one to follow the town meeting and then one to follow our meeting. I anticipate that there should not be a huge amount of discussion on either the sewer issues or the 1 Elliott Street home rule petition for the liquor license that would require deliberation on our part for amendments of one sort or another. They may happen, but I'm guessing that the likelihood is smaller. With the accessory dwelling unit and the Milton Memory Care unit, there may be issues we have to talk about. So to that end, Monday on our agenda, we will have more of a conversation about the accessory dwelling unit in anticipation of the discussion that will happen at town meeting. And, you know, the simple fact that maybe we need to take a new vote if we choose to do that, that might affect our recommendation to town meeting or whatever. But the point is that we will have that on our agenda for Monday before the town meeting. So I would ask those of you who are able to attend to just come and click in at 7 o'clock so we can move on that one. And our secretary, Erin Bradley, will be quarterbacking all of that. So Erin's going to be a very busy member that evening, I'm afraid.
Yes, I switched my boxing to Tuesday and Thursday for next week. So I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
Well, you get your aggressions out.
Right?
That's good. That's really good. So anyway, that's where we stand. Also, in anticipation, I'm happy to hear that the school has finally got its school subcommittee. We will need to move very, very, very quickly after the special town meeting is done to get this accomplished and to pull together our commentary and whatever else we have to do and take our votes. The budget, with only a few exceptions, will likely undergo moderate alterations. I'm understanding that we don't have the figures from the state yet as to what the plug is going to be into the revenues, which is a little bit frustrating because, you know, at this time of year, when we're trying to do this under some pressure, it would be nice to have all the information in hand rather than, you know, I don't want to say scramble, but that's the only word that comes to mind at kind of the last minute where we have to start to rob Peter to pay Paul. I do not know how much of that is going to happen because I know that vast majority of the town departments were exceptionally disciplined in their level funding. And we've seen the presentations, and it's kind of remarkable what many of the town departments do with virtually no increase or kind of modest increases as things happen. But there are other things that we are going to have to look at, and We'll just move them one at a time. So I will crave your indulgence on the next couple of weeks. This is really the crunch time. March is a tough month for a lot of people anyway, because there's no break. It's dark. We're good daylight savings. You lose an hour of sleep. But this is really where the rubber meets the road for us, because as we produce this warrant and put our thoughts out for the town meeting at what is a reasonably critical juncture, as we look at potentially building or allocating money for a new school and other things that are happening, and a change in the town management with a new potential town manager. There's stuff that we just want to be sure is properly done. So again,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I just logistically, assuming that subsequent to the school budget subcommittee's meeting, which is likely to turn into 2 meetings, I would imagine, with the school committee, I'm assuming that we're going to need the school committee members to come back to another general meeting.
Yeah.
Do we need to put that on the schedule in advance? I'm just getting anxious about the timelines.
Understood. I think we would, and that the best and frankly the only time for that would be March 21st.
Okay.
So that is something we work towards, because technically we're supposed to have the whole damn thing into the printer on the 28th, which I still can't promise, and I hope they're going to be a little flexible with us, because we can't pull a rabbit out of a hat. Right.
So could we let Superintendent Jett and the school committee members know that we'd anticipate needing them at our meeting on that day? I'm happy to do it, but I don't really think it's necessarily my role.
Understood. Lynn and I will extend that invitation.
Okay.
That's the invitation / expectation, because the last thing that any of us wants is for the largest component of the budget to show up at the town meeting with a no recommendation on it.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about. If we can't understand what's happening and we still have open questions, it will be, I mean, it's obviously a vote of the committee, but it's a possibility. And it's one that I really would like not to have to take.
Yes.
Let's see.
Thank you.
Steve, your hand was up first.
Yeah, just a quick question. Can we see the rest of the revenue from town? I know the state number's not in, but they must know what the other revenue is.
They do have those projections. I'll ask to have that at either the first of just before the town meeting on the 14th or on the 16th. So we can at least have the preliminary that they're working with. Good question. Erin, you have the floor.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm curious as to why there's going to be 2 school subcommittee meetings this year, when last year there was a contentious budget. We knew there was going to be amendments. There was all kinds of stuff, and that school subcommittee was able to do it in one shot. I'm just worried about why the timing is such that we're going to need 2 school subcommittees when we don't even think that there's going to be anything contentious this year. I mean, I've heard the select board is already working it out with the school committee.
I can answer from the subcommittee's perspective. And Aaron, I have not been on the school subcommittee in an active role before, so I could just be completely wrong. But based on the questions that I and the other subcommittee members have raised, I just surmised that, having one meeting was not going to cover it all. If it does, I'll be delighted. I hope one meeting will cover it all.
So the 2 meetings is a belt and suspenders, just in case.
That's right. I mean, I hope it's unnecessary. It certainly isn't, trying to browbeat anyone, but we do have a number of questions, and I want to make sure everybody's satisfied in their, in the answers.
Right. I totally get that, Susanna. And I appreciate the fact that none of you have been on the school subcommittee before. That this is the first time that this entire group is doing this.
Right.
So I sat in on last year's. I will sit in again on this year's. Not that I'm a member, but it's a public meeting, so anybody can sit there. I just was curious because last year was so much more contentious and we only had the 1 meeting. So thank you.
No, it was not. It was most likely out of my own ignorance and wanting to cover our bases. And I will say, and without beating a dead horse, I do think, and not to speak for the rest of the subcommittee members, but to speak for myself, I do think there's some contentious stuff in there that we at least have questions about, or that I do. So I don't want to make it sound like it's an easy slam dunk from our perspective, but I I don't remember what was in there last year, so I'm not even going to hit that. I wanted to make sure that we had enough time to get all our questions answered.
I would characterize this year's budget similarly to last year's because there were several asks in last year's budget and there are several asks in this year's budget, some of which may be funded by external funds that became available through the feds or the county, and some of it which isn't, and some of it which will by definition be discussed because some people are legitimately asking, is this justifiable? And the idea that it's contentious, I mean, contentious we try not to be. And you know, we're all here. It's the taxpayers' money. It's not a slam dunk that it should go here, or just because it's being asked that it's going to be funded.
Right, but Mr. Chair, just so you know, the ARPA funds have already been approved. The select board already approved that for the school committee. So those are like moot at this point.
Absolutely, and that's great, and that's terrific. But there probably are, I would think, at least half a dozen, if not 10 other points of which I am aware that will be brought up and will require discussion. I'm expecting that the discussion will be civil and frank, and people are entitled to disagree. So it'll be interesting to see where it comes out. But again, I thank the school subcommittee for following through. I'm delighted it's going to happen. And again, if you can get it done in one meeting, fabulous.
I hope we will.
Yeah. And you may well, because these are people who know what they're doing. They're reasonable people. And, you know, as I say, if we don't agree, we don't agree. It's not the end of the world. It certainly wouldn't be the first time either.
So how does 1 hour allocation for our meeting compare to last year? So they allocated 1 hour for us next Tuesday, 5:30 to 6:30. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about right. That's about what they did last year. Last year, they came to us multiple times, though, because of the issues around the survey and some other stuff. So they sat in front of the entire warrant committee for, I don't know, 8 hours, Mr. Chair. It felt like eternity. I have no idea.
No, it was. I don't know if it was 8, Aaron, but it was significant because one of them went for 2 or 3 hours, and it was their budget specifically. And if we have to spend that on the 21st, that may be the only item other than voting for things on the agenda, but it is something that we do have. It's the biggest single component of the agenda. It's a line item they get, and then they can take the cash and do whatever. I mean, they'll be responsible with it, but technically they could take the cash, turn it into dollar bills, pile it up in front of the high school, and, you know, set a bonfire. But that's obviously not what happened.
Please don't say that. Please don't say that.
Well, I hope that. I wouldn't expect they would.
Guys.
The point is that they have a line item that's all we get to vote, and they have control because of Ed Reform of '93. And that's, you know, they are responsible with it and for it, and we expect that they do, as they always have, the responsible thing. But the issue is going to be making sure that we agree on what that line item is going to be and how it's composed. And
and for what it's worth, I think the subcommittee members are all aware, and even though I'm not done that part before, that our role is to ask questions and get clarifications on the budget. We are not engaging in a philosophical debate with the school committee members. We have our disagreements and our agreements. And if those conversations need to happen before the whole group, I think George and Aaron, you're both right. Then we need to have, an 8-hour meeting with the school committee and the entire warrant committee. The subcommittee, we do have a number of questions, and we will ask those and hopefully get answers. And I think we're preparing to provide some of those in advance to the school committee members to make the meeting as productive as possible.
I think that's great, and they'll appreciate that. And this is the professional way to do it. I think that our approach, again, underscoring it, and thank you for bringing that up, all of you. Our job is not necessarily to approve or disapprove. It is to raise consciousness, to look at the analysis, and to make the recommendation to the town meeting based upon the questions and the analysis that have been made, and to justify to town meeting that the work has been done, certainly by the school committee, which clearly has been done, but also our inquiries are legitimate. This is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. We're discharging our responsibility and making sure that the issues that are raised are legitimate and have been satisfied with answers that are acceptable, so that we either understand what they're doing and approve it, or we understand what they're doing and say, this isn't such a great idea. We don't recommend it. But again, town meeting is the one that decides how to do this, and we want to provide them with all the tools that they need. So with that having been said, I think we are in a very good place right at the moment. I anticipate we will probably have 2 meetings the week after the special town meeting, just to get everything in order and then scramble once again to get our drafting done. So I will, again, thank you all in anticipation for the work that we're going to have to do. It is really, I don't want to say backs against the wall, but it's certainly going to be pedal to the metal to get this done. And we always have, and I know that what we do will be done thoroughly and as professionally as possible and efficiently as possible. So are there any other questions that we need to raise? Any other issues, new business of anything of which anybody's aware? Because if not, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn until the 7 o'clock Monday for our meeting before a special town meeting.
So moved.
Excellent. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Great. Lynn, please take the roll.
Dave,
Yes.
Muhammad,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
JJ,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Erin,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Susanna.
Yes.
Oh, Henny.
Yes.
That's it.
Excellent. Thank you all very much. Good night, and we'll see you next Monday.
Aye.
Good night.